the comments are right though, aren't they?
No, they're not right,
Yes,
Dave.
yes they are. You'll have a bit where your mum tells you off, and I'm sick of wearing that dress, by the way. Then you'll have another bit where you talk about Metal Gear, and I have to do the stupid tally, and then when you've run out of funny jokes, you'll just go to the stupid badger.
If you could just see the amount of time and effort
Even this right now, this intro is exactly the same as one you did for a feature a few weeks ago. It's even got a cutaway to Nathan.
But it's self-referential, Dave, isn't it? And that's clever, which isn't something I'd expect you to understand.
Do you want to take this outside?
Hello. You've caught me doing what I always do when faced with physical confrontation, a weird sort of nervous jig followed by a wimpy noise. It's embarrassing and made school an absolute nightmare where the threat of wedgie or toilet-based violence was a daily occurrence on the badlands of my school hardcourt. I'd often go home and think to myself, man, if only I was tough like those guys in them games what I play, then I'd say some kind of clever quip, punch the bullies in the face and escape my subsequent detention by leaping out the music room window to a chorus of cheers from my classmates. Yeah, if only. Here are 7 video game hardnuts who would totally do that though. First up is Batman, a guy who can literally win a fight against a car. It's easy to forget that Batman, despite being lumped in the superhero category, doesn't actually have any powers. He's just a really, really, really rich man who's good at fighting and puts a load of prototype weaponry and military-grade equipment on the company credit card and then uses that to put loads of bad people on the ground. He doesn't get it all his own way though, does he? Across the Arkham series, he's blown up, poisoned, possessed by the subconscious manifestation of his deceased arch-nemesis. But to Batman, being possessed by the subconscious manifestation of his deceased arch-nemesis is like if you or I had a light cold. He sniffs a bit and then gets on with his day job of gliding about like a badass and slamming people's heads into walls. Truly the toughest pair of fists in games. Next entry, and if ever I was to do a Friday feature on facial hair, this guy would be all 7 entries. I wanted SAS superstar and Call of Duty legend Captain Price to be my dad when I first played Modern Warfare. What a top bloke. Look at him, lighting his cigar and having a moustache and then kicking ass for an entire game with a lovely accent. Captain Price is such a diamond-hard manly man that even nearly dying can't stop him from being an absolute badass. There he is right at the end of Modern Warfare being revived with punches to the chest. And then cut to Modern Warfare 2 and here he is kicking your ass inside a Russian gulag. I mean, how long was he in there? 5 years? And the first thing you see him doing is throttling some fully armed dude wearing basically just a hat and some pajamas. Seconds later, bam, he's floored you and now has 2 guns. Let's just take a minute to savour some of Price's other heroics. He helps you escape from the Russian gulag, he kicks General Shepard's ass at the end of Modern Warfare 2 and kindly lets you finish him off, and then in Modern Warfare 3 when basically everyone else has died, he jumps into a helicopter, punches some faces, crashes it into a building, whatever, next, and then wraps Makarov's neck in cables before smashing his head through a glass ceiling and watching him hang like a floundering salmon. And he's still got time for a cigar. Now, within 2 minutes of being introduced to our third entry, he's already been kicked, blasted with some kind of magical energy, trash-talked, had a sword put through his chest, and a motorbike thrown at his face. Or Tuesday, as Dante from Devil May Cry likes to call it. What an introduction. Straight away we know this is a guy who is not messing about. Firstly, listen to how he speaks to his customers.
Sorry, we closed at 9.
Oh, imagine having the balls to say that to the irritating shopper who still wants to buy half of Debenhams menswear even though it's clearly 6:05 in the evening. The customer is always right, they'd say, but imagine being Dante and pulling a sword out your chest like you or I would in ingrowing hair and nonchalantly tossing it on the floor before whipping out a gun and saying, I said we're closed. Put the cashmere sweater and the half-price loafers down.
He's not done though, is he? Remember the bit where he gets Alastor?
Oh, look, a sword. I wonder if I can pull it out the wall. Oh no, it's flown out the wall and impaled me to the floor. That's annoying. I can't believe I'm going to have to pull my body through it now. And look, that bit of the hilt's basically going through the back of my head. But whatever, I'm Dante. It's no biggie. Number 4, Lara Croft. She's been kicking ass now for nearly 2 decades across 4 console generations and has come out best against so many mythological freaks. There's no way you wouldn't back her in a fight, no matter what she's up against. T-Rex? T-Wrecked, more like. That dragon thing at the end of Tomb Raider 2? Dragon? Set, the Egyptian god of storms, desert, chaos and war? Yeah, she got him too.
In the rebooted Tomb Raider, Lara gets absolutely battered as well, but still single-handedly fights her way through an island of crazed religious cultists ruled by a really very grumpy goddess.
She even got buried alive under a collapsing pyramid at the end of the last Revelation, but that was 7 games ago now, so I guess it didn't hurt too much. Lara is one tough cookie. Next up, we've got Commander Shepard, a character that literally dies at the beginning of Mass Effect 2. Like, he or she is blown into the vacuum of space with no oxygen before presumably burning up with the wreckage of the Normandy.
You can imagine Shepard down the space pub years later, can't you? Like, yeah, that one's from a fight with a Krogan, and I got that one's from where I drove into a cliff in the Mako over and over again because I couldn't get used to the controls, and this one here is from when I was blown into the vacuum of space with no oxygen and burnt up in the wreckage of the Normandy.
It's no wonder Shepard doesn't care about a suicidal mission to fight a race of hyper-powerful synthetic aliens, because if he dies, he just dusts himself down and gets on with it again.
My favourite way to play Shepard is Renegade, because then you really do get to ham up the tough nut personality.
Human thinks he's a tough guy.
Tougher than you.
Oh, have some of that.
Penultimate entry, and you were right to be mad, Dave, because I am going to include Metal Gear, but come on, if we're talking about hard nuts who can take a beating, you've got to put Big Boss in there, haven't you? Across the series, his physical and emotional transformation is astonishing. Here he is, young and fresh-faced at the beginning of the Virtuous mission in Metal Gear Solid 3, but it doesn't take long before he gets his arm broken and chucked off a bridge. Doesn't matter, he can just fix it himself by sort of re-breaking it and then waiting to get Fultons to safety.
That was hard to watch, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Look at this.
Snake is later battered by Volgin in a sequence so brutal it still shocks me now, and I consider myself remarkably jaded and desensitized. I mean, for crying out loud, he really takes it. The force of those punches. And then comes the iconic bit.
With his face officially a mangled pulp, Snake sets about escaping from Groznygrad in just his trousers, which he does by jumping from a great height into a river and fighting a ghost.
With that out the way, you'd think he'd call it quits, wouldn't you? No, not Snake. He's getting right back in there for a rematch with Volgin and his big old nuclear drill, the Shagahod. And because he's Snake, he wins. It's not over though, is it? Because eventually Metal Gear Solid 5 happens and Big Boss, as he's now known, is blown up in a helicopter, the result of which is 9 years in a coma, the loss of his left arm, and a load of shrapnel embedded in his skull.
He then, while suffering from hallucinations and atrophy, has to escape a hospital that's under attack by elite soldiers and a burning man who can only be defeated by sprinklers, which he does because he's Snake.
And a few in-game days later, he's back in the field with a bionic arm attachment and a near insatiable lust for revenge. Heaven help whoever, whatever, finds itself up against him. Unless it was Call of Duty's Captain Price. I wonder who'd win in that fight. Our final entry shouldn't surprise you. Kratos is a man who just doesn't stop. He's killed gods. He's killed heinous mythical creatures by impaling them on ships. He's killed sentient mountains, for crying out loud. Basically, if he's met it, Kratos has killed it. But what really sets the God of War apart from the rest is the amount of punishment he can take and still keep on going.
Now, if you thought Dante, Lara Croft and Big Boss took a leathering, then that's nothing compared to what Kratos goes through.
I mean, he's been killed more than once actually, but the problem with killing someone like Kratos in the world of Greek mythology is that the world of Greek mythology has an underworld which is an actual physical place. And if you send Kratos to an actual physical place, what he tends to do is kill whatever's there until he gets to the next physical place, where he continues to kill. And so basically, you can kill Kratos, but he'll just kill his way back to life and then come and kill you instead.
And he doesn't mess about with it, does he? No, he doesn't cast his enemies into the underworld. What Kratos does is he puts his thumbs through their eyes and rips their heads off. And if you're Zeus, what he does is he punches you in the face, and he keeps punching you until you no longer have a face and instead just have a puddle of red mush on some shoulders.
Lovely jubbly 7 video game hard nuts who took one hell of a beating and still didn't stop. Let us know if there are any more we've missed in the comments, and tell us who you think would win in a Royal Rumble between them all. Also, subscribe and come back next week for another Friday feature. I'm going to go and beat up Dave. Bye!